Hello and welcome back to Literary Lenses, where we decode literary theory one thinker at a time. The idea has always been to help you read deeper, write better. So far, what we've done is we've discussed Plato and Aristotle, and we've seen two very contrasting views. While Plato saw poetry or literature as a threat to reason, Aristotle saw it as an art of emotional design. Today, we're going to meet a third voice. Less of a philosopher, more of a working writer himself. Horace, the Roman poet who gave us one of the most quoted phrases in literature history. The purpose of poetry is to teach and delight. Now, who was Horace? Horace lived in 1st century BC Rome. It was a time of political turbulence. It was a time of literary brilliance as well. He wasn't a theorist in the academic sense. He was a practicing poet. He was writing odes, he was writing satires, and he was giving advice to fellow writers too, all the time pretty much. For our context, for the literary theories context, his major work that we look at is Ars Poetica. The English translation is The Art of Poetry. It is not a textbook, it's more like a long poetic letter full of wit, full of logic, full of common sense, and advice that eventually became timeless. So what are the key ideas in Ars Poetica? So here's what Horace taught us. It was less abstract than Plato, but it was less organized and less systematic than Aristotle. But like I said, it's deeply, deeply influential. Number one, poetry should teach and delight. A good poem entertains. A good poem offers insight, is what Horace felt. It's not enough to be clever or moral. You have to do both. That was his take on poetry. Like Aristotle, he insisted on unity and consistency, which is number two. He said, keep your characters consistent. Don't write about a king who suddenly starts acting like a fool, unless you show us why. Number three, know your audience. Horace believed writers should consider the taste and understanding of their readers. Otherwise, writing without that understanding would make no sense. He wasn't saying that you have to write to please people, but you have to be able to connect with your audience. Otherwise, there's no point. Number four, art requires labor. He famously advised, keep your manuscript for 9 years. Now, I'm not asking modern writers to keep working on their manuscript for 9 years, but we have often seen instances where people have taken a long time to write and polish their work, which is what Horace would have wanted. So Arundhati Roy, for example, wrote her book God of Small Things, which gave her a Booker Prize, for almost 20 years before she got published. In short, what he meant was, by art requires labor, polish your work. Don't confuse inspiration with completion. It hardly ever happens. Now, like we do in every segment of Literary Lenses, why does Horace still matter? How is he relevant to us in the modern times? Number one, Horace was never preaching perfection. The idea was that he was describing the craft of writing. He understood that writing isn't just about genius or inspiration. It's about choices, it's about tone, it's about rhythm, it's about clarity, and most importantly, it's about revision, editing. His balance between pleasure and purpose still defines everything from novel writing to advertising copy that we see today, all around us pretty much. Takeaways, practical takeaways for writers today. Here is what Horace can teach you as a writer. Number one, write with purpose, but don't forget pleasure. If your writing only informs the audience, it may become boring. It will become boring. If it only entertains, it is forgettable. So the idea is that you aim for both, informing as well as entertaining. Again, something that falls absolutely in line with what Aristotle felt about art. Number two, stay true to your characters and your message. Any reader can spot inconsistency in literature from a mile away. Make sure your story or your essay feels whole. It's all connected. So again, like I said, the idea is to stay consistent with your characters and true to your characters and your message. Number 3, revise more than you write. If you want to take away one clear lesson from Horace, it would be revising, revising, revising. First drafts are rarely final drafts, he said. He would say, let it sit, and then come back to it with sharper eyes. So Wordsworth, for example, if I could just take a leap of 1500 years, how Wordsworth felt about poetry. He said poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions recollected in tranquility. Right? So do that. So now, why am I comparing Wordsworth and Horace, for example, is Wordsworth would feel something, but he would not write right away. He would keep editing, keep thinking about it in his mind, and then one day, in tranquility, he would recollect all those powerful emotions and then create a poem. That is a system that worked for William Wordsworth, right? So Horace, his idea was write your first draft, write your second draft, let it sit and take your time, and then come back and then start working on it with sharper eyes. Start removing the unnecessary, etc., etc. Number 4, think of your reader, but you are not here to flatter your audience. Write with respect for your reader's intelligence, not to pander though, right? That's the idea. So that's about Horace for today. I hope it helps you understanding art, poetry and writing from a different lens. Next time we'll be exploring a very different idea, the sublime. We'll meet Longinus, who believed that great writing doesn't just teach or delight, it lifts your very soul. If you're enjoying this series, follow us, share it with a fellow reader or a writer, and leave a comment. What's a piece of writing that both taught and delighted you at the same time? Think of it, recollect some ideas in your brain, and do let us know if there is a text that you found that sort of covered all the aspects. This is Literary Lenses, bringing theory back to life.